Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. Welcome back to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast, where busy dads learn how to lose weight, build strength, and boost their energy and confidence so they can lead their family well. Now, today we're talking about something that every dad is going to face at some point, and that's losing motivation. So maybe you've been going strong for a while. You've been consistent. You've been getting your workouts in. You've been showing up to the gym. You've been tracking your nutrition, and then life hits. So the fire, that excitement of starting something new, kind of dies down a bit, and then suddenly, you're asking yourself, like, why do I even care anymore? But the thing is, your family is watching that. They're seeing that. So today we're going to talk about, what to do when your motivation fades, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's going to happen. And so motivation itself is, not meant to last forever. Right? It's like the spark. Think of it kind of like, you're lighting a fire, you're lighting a candle, like you light the match and it helps get it started, but it's eventually going to burn out, right? It's going to be the thing that helps. Maybe you find that reason why you're starting, maybe why you want to lose weight, why you want to get in shape in the first place. But if you rely on motivation, you're gonna be up one week, you're gonna be down the next, and your results are gonna reflect that, right? For whatever reason, you could wake up tomorrow and have all the motivation in the world, and then you wake up next Tuesday, and then it was just you didn't sleep well, you're just not feeling the best. It's just up and down. If you're relying on motivation, it makes it very difficult to see consistent results. And as dads, we have a lot pulling on us, right? We've got work, we've got late nights with the kids, maybe they're not sleeping well, maybe you got a long commute. You got ball games, maybe you have multiple kids in sports right now. You got family obligations, and it's easy to wake up one day and just not feel like, putting in the work. And that's normal. But where it's different with us is that when we choose to quit, we're not just quitting on ourselves. Our kids are paying attention to that. They notice whether or not we follow through. They notice whether, dad is strong and energized or just worn down and tired all the time. And that's where the identity shift has to happen if you want to see changes long term. You're not just working out to lose weight, you're working out to lead your family well. And so what do? We work on shifting your mindset. So instead of saying I need motivation, you say I need discipline, right? If you're a Jocko Willink fan, discipline equals freedom. I saw Jocko speak in July of 2023, about a little over 2 years ago. It was awesome. If you've read any of his books, break it down and as easy as I can is discipline equals freedom. When we're more disciplined, we have more freedom to do the things we want to do, and we take care of what we want to do. We get to do the things we want to do, and we get to enjoy it more, right? Discipline's not, just grinding through and just, being just beating ourselves up all the time, not prioritizing rest or anything. Discipline is showing up, when you don't feel like it. It's pushing those feelings, pushing those emotions aside. It's remembering why you started in the first place. And discipline is knowing that, every rep you take, every walk, every health isn't just about you. It's it's shaping the dad you're becoming, and you're either getting closer or further away from the person you want to be. And if you want your kids to keep their commitments, whether that's sports or schoolwork or chores, they need to see you keep yours, right? When we lead by example, they're going to follow, what they're learning. We can say one thing, but if we're doing something else, it's not going to hit home. If you want them to grow up, valuing their health, they need to see you value health, right? If you want them to believe that hard work pays off, they need to see you do hard things, even when you don't feel like it. Now, like I said, motivation is going to fade. That is, that's a given, right? It's not a matter of if, it's when. And so you've got to anchor back to why you started in the first place. And so for the majority of the dads I work with, it's not about six-pack abs. It's not about, flexing in the mirror. It's about having energy to wrestle your kids on the living room floor. It's about, coaching, the t-ball team, the soccer team, the basketball team, helping out with volleyball, not feeling winded, just running around at the park. It's about being around, 20, 30 years from now, to be able to walk, their daughter down the aisle, or, play catch with, your grandkids. And so, ask yourself right now, like, if you don't have a why, maybe pause the episode, spend the next 10 or 15 minutes and figure out, what's the bigger reason why you want to do this in the first place. Standing on the scale tomorrow and being 10 pounds down is awesome, but why does it matter beyond the moment? If your why is clear enough, discipline becomes a lot easier to practice. And will there be days where you still don't feel like it? Absolutely. Right. But we can mitigate that. We can help make sure that that's not the norm. There are going to be times where you need to rest, and that's okay. But chances are right now you're not in a spot where you're just working out too much, right? You've been too disciplined with your nutrition, right? It's hard to get to that point, right? And so there's a good chance right now that you could probably do a little bit more. And so let's lower the barrier here. Let's figure out what to do when motivation is gone. So first thing you can do is, if you don't feel like working out, don't overcomplicate. Tell yourself you're just going to do 10 minutes, right? Most of the time when you start, you can do more. One of the things that I like to do for my clients is that if they don't feel like working out, set a timer, 5 or 10 minutes. Do as much as you can in that time. Once the timer's done, if that's all the motivation you have, great. Just stop right there. That's okay. You did 10 minutes. You did what you said you were going to do. Now, if you want to do more, you can. But you absolutely do not have to. This could be push-ups. It could be squats. It could be a walk around the block. But just do something. Lower the barrier. You don't have to do a 60-minute workout here. So just lower the barrier. Start to redefine what working out is, right? It's going to make it much more easier to stay consistent. The second thing you can do is focus on just one non-negotiable. And so maybe for you, that's hitting a step goal. Maybe it's getting protein in at every meal today. Maybe that's just picking one thing that you're going to do no matter what. One of the calls I had with a client yesterday, they were back from vacation. They were having a little bit of trouble, getting back into a routine. And so we said, what's one thing you can focus on right now? For them, that was tracking their food, right? They were trying to get back into a workout routine, trying to get back into a step routine, trying to get back into better habits with their nutrition. And so the one habit they chose to focus on right now is just tracking their nutrition. Now, once you have that one thing down, you can add something else on. You can continue to build off it. Third thing you can do is lean on systems and not just your feelings. Like I said, your motivation is going to come and go. How you feel every day is dependent on a lot of things there. And so if you have your workouts scheduled, your meals prepped, your clothes set out, you've already made the decision ahead of time. It makes it a lot easier to do it, right? Well, Zig Ziglar, you probably heard of him. He's a famous sales coach, written lots of books. There's this motivational video talking about priming the pump, right? When you have water, you're trying to get out of the well, you're pumping. And it takes a lot of work just to get a little bit of water out of the pump. But once you've got that water flowing, it's pretty easy to keep it going, right? Once you've got motivation, it's pretty easy to keep it going. But as soon as you stop, you got to start all over again. And so lean on your systems, not your feelings. Keep that motivation going. On those days where you don't feel like working out, instead of not doing any of it, do half of it, do 10 minutes of it, do something, keep showing up. And the last thing is to remember that there are eyes on you, right? Your kids don't need to see you perfect, but they do need to see you consistent. They need to see you trying after missing. That's where, the being a role model, that's where being a real life model is extremely powerful. Just being that example for them. You have an opportunity to be the person your kids look up to, and that's something that I hope you don't take lightly. And so the bottom line is, motivation, losing motivation isn't failure here, right? It's normal. It's going to happen, and it'll probably happen multiple times throughout the week. And the key is what you do next. So when your family sees you show up, even when it's hard, when they see lace up your shoes, go for a walk, go for a jog, on a day when you're extremely tired, when they see you choose a healthier option, rather than just ordering a pizza again, because that'd be easy. that's leadership, right? That's fatherhood at its best when we're leading by example. So you're showing them that health isn't just about quick fixes, right? It's about commitment. You're showing them that being a strong dad means following through, and long after that temporary motivation, that temporary the match, the spark is gone. Your family is going to remember that example you set, and then you get to impact their families too when they leave your house, which is pretty cool. And so the next time motivation fades, don't panic. Start looking at it more as discipline, anchored to your why. Just lower the barrier, and keep your commitments, keep the promises you make to yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about losing weight, right, or even building strength. It's about being the kind of dad who leads his family well.
That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.